So I don't know if you've seen this new documentary on Disney Plus. And it's about Jim Henson. It's called Jim Henson Idea Man. But I watched it the other day with the family, and it was really inspiring. And Jim Henson was everything. Everybody watched Sesame Street, right? And the Muppets were a big part of my childhood. And they're movies that I love to watch with my kids too. So it was really inspired me, had an impact on me, and I thought there are some really cool lessons from his life and from this documentary that I think we can use as business owners and as people that are trying to build something and create some sort of change in the world. The first one is to find something that you love, and that can be easier said than done, right? But Jim was, I'm going to refer to him as Jim and pretend we're on a first name basis throughout this video, but he was really passionate about what he did. He loved his work, and there's that old saying that if you find something you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, we all have days that are more difficult than others and parts of our jobs that we don't like. I think if you find something like he did that you're really passionate about, that you're really interested in, you're going to want to keep going, you're going to want to learn more, you're going to want to grow. And it's not going to feel like work. It's not going to feel like you're just punching the clock or, oh my gosh, I just got to get this done. It's going to feel fun. It's going to feel like play. Not all of us have careers where we get to play with puppets, but if we find something that we're passionate about, that really helps us to keep going. It helps us to have better ideas. It helps us to be enthusiastic and to pull other people into what we're doing. So find something that you love and that you're passionate about, and find a way to turn that into your career. Another thing is to be curious, to explore different interests. So Jim was he was interested in everything. Of course, he was interested in puppetry. They talked about how from a very young age he was interested in just television in general, stop motion animation. He was in kind of on the early end of animatronics, using puppetry and robotics together. And he was in on the early end of computer animation, which I didn't even realize until I watched this documentary. And he worked in, of course, he worked in television. He did a lot with commercials, movies. Some of his movies were more sort of experimental than others, and visual art. And he even worked on, I don't remember if it ever came to fruition, but he had a project working on a nightclub at one point. Was just interested in how to create this kind of crazy visual experience. He worked on, just things that pulled his interest. He was wanted to know about all these different things. If we take that and we learn about things in different areas, we can sort of apply what we learn over here in one area, and maybe we see something in our industry or in something else that we're working on that we never would have seen if we didn't have this other experience. So you kind of saw how in his life, his different interests and different experiences kind of built this really interesting and really unique perspective and ability. Another thing that I learned from watching this documentary was to really value the people that you work with. People talked about really feeling cared for by him at work. And I think he really saw the best in other people. He saw what they were good at. And he was good at kind of encouraging them to continue to move in that direction. Frank Oz, who's another, very well-known creative person in that space. I think in particular owed a lot to Jim Henson. They started to work together while Frank was still in high school. He was really young, and then as soon as he graduated from high school, he came on with Jim, with his company. He just encouraged him to continue to grow and continue to learn new things. So he really did take that time to value people, see what people were good at, see what people are interested in. So I think we can try to do the same thing. We can, not just look at people as, commodity, as something that can help us to get the job done, but look at them as human beings, see what they're good at, and kind of take a long-term view on people too. Maybe right now they're young, they're inexperienced, but look at the potential that they have. Jim and Frank worked together for decades after that on a lot of really cool projects. Another thing that I learned is you just don't know what's going to work. A lot of the things that Jim was interested in, he really valued a lot of, especially early on, he did a lot of like experimental type films and like interesting and strange special effects and these movies that were almost kind of like a art house, type projects. And obviously that's not what he's known for. He's known for working on Sesame Street. He's known for creating the Muppets and mostly children's television, which in the beginning he didn't see himself as a children's director or filmmaker, but because he was willing to not have his mind so fixed on one thing and what he wanted to do over here, he was open to what life, what circumstances were presenting to him, and he took those opportunities and ran with it. And the things that he thought he might be known for weren't the things that ended up really making an impact on millions of people over decades. We can have that flexibility too. We can have an idea of what we want to do. We can have things that we're interested in and that we're passionate about, but then also pay attention to what circumstances are telling us, what's being presented to us, and be willing to shift and make that change when something new is presented. All of us could really benefit from being a little bit more like Jim Henson. Find something you love, be curious, value people, and be open to new circumstances. And I think if we did that, we would be more successful, we'd be happier, the people around us would be happier, and I think the world would be an overall better place. So I appreciate you watching. Hit the subscribe button below. Have a good one. Thanks.